For years, everyone would say, "This child doesn't look like you at all." They were right, because he really wasn't my child. 40 years ago, due to a mistake at the hospital, I brought home the wrong baby. My real child grew up with my neighbor. We both knew but never talked about it. Now it's time to speak. My name is Martha Collins. I'm 76 years old, mother of 3 children, grandmother of 8. I live in one of the old neighborhoods of Denver. From the outside, I appear to be a normal mother, a normal grandmother. But I've been carrying a secret for 4 years. This secret affects not only me but 2 families. My children, my grandchildren, my neighbors, they're all living within this secret, but they don't know it. Today, I've decided to reveal this secret, because I'm getting old, getting sick. I can't take this secret to my grave. It was March 1983. I was 36 years old. I was expecting my 3rd child. I was going to give birth at Denver General Hospital. My neighbor Susan was also pregnant during the same period. We lived in the same apartment building. We were the same age. We were going to give birth almost on the same date. We were very close friends. March 14, 1983. Monday, we were both admitted to the hospital. Same ward, beds next to each other. We both went into labor that night. That night, the hospital was very crowded. Multiple births were happening simultaneously. Nurses were running around. I gave birth at 11:30 p.m. Susan also gave birth at 1:15 a.m. 2 baby boys. Both were healthy. But after birth, I was so tired that I couldn't see my baby in detail. They just said, "Boy, healthy." Susan was in the same situation. When morning came, they brought the babies. When I looked at my baby, I had a strange feeling. Is this my baby? I thought. But I thought it was the confusion that comes with being a new mother. When we returned home from the hospital, we showed the babies to the neighbors. That's when the first comments came. "Martha, this baby doesn't look like you at all. Susan's baby looks more like you. I wonder if there was a mix-up at the hospital." We took these comments as jokes, but a suspicion was beginning to awaken in me. As my baby grew, no resemblance emerged. He didn't look like me, my husband, or my other children. One day Susan came to me. She looked very thoughtful. "Martha," she said, "I'm going to tell you something, but don't find it strange." "What is it?" I said. "My baby looks a lot like you. Your baby looks a lot like me. Could it be?" She couldn't complete that sentence, but we both understood. "Susan, what are you saying?" I said, but there was hesitation in my voice. "I don't know, Martha, but can so much resemblance be a coincidence?" From that day on, we both started looking more carefully. The baby's physical characteristics, their behaviors. The more we looked, the clearer it became. The babies had been mixed up at the hospital. The baby I was raising looked like Susan. The baby Susan was raising looked like me. Susan and I talked again. This time more openly. "Martha, I think we should switch the babies." "What do you mean?" "They got mixed up at the hospital. Let's give them to their real mothers." This proposal made me think a lot. I had been nursing the baby for 3 months. I had been raising him. I already felt he belonged to me. Susan was in the same situation. She had also bonded with the baby she was raising. "Susan," I said, "we've been raising these children for 3 months. Aren't they our children now?" "But Martha, we're their real mothers. Don't these children have a right to us?" It was a very difficult decision, both heart and mind. We made our decision. We met with the hospital. We explained the situation. The hospital administration became very nervous. "Such a thing cannot happen," they said. "We don't make mistakes." But when we insisted, they investigated. They examined the records. A week later, they came back. Very embarrassed. "Unfortunately, there was a mix-up," they said. The nurse on duty that night had just started working. She had mixed up the baby ID bracelets. The hospital said, "You can switch the babies." But this was a very big decision. Susan and I talked again. We thought long and hard. "Martha," Susan said, "I've made my decision. I want my real child." I felt the same way. But I was also scared. We had formed a 3-month bond with the children. Finally, we made our decision. We would switch. I can never forget that day, June 15, 1983. The day the babies were 3 months old. In the morning, Susan came. We were both crying. It was a very difficult moment. Since the babies were still small, they weren't aware of the situation. But we mothers were having a very hard time. Martha, Susan said, let's not tell anyone this secret. Don't let the children get confused when they grow up. Okay, I said, let this stay between us. From that day on, we stayed silent for 40 years. The children grew up. None of them were aware of this situation. Only Susan and I knew. Sometimes when we looked at each other, we remembered, but we never talked about it. My children grew up, got married. I had grandchildren. We lived a normal family life. But there was always something missing inside me. While my real child was growing up with Susan, I couldn't mother him. Susan passed away 5 years ago. She died suddenly from a heart attack. That day I realized that I was the only person left who knew this secret. I cried a lot at Susan's funeral, not only for her death but also for our 40-year secret. There was no one left to share this secret with. Last month, my eldest grandson decided to get a DNA test. He was curious about the family tree. Grandma, he said, you should get one too. Let's see where we'll come from. I was very nervous. If I got a DNA test, the truth would come out. But I couldn't refuse. I would arouse suspicion. When the results came, I was horrified. My grandson didn't genetically resemble me at all. Grandma, how is this possible? He said. Aren't you my father's mother? At that moment, I realized I had to tell the truth. I called my children to my house. All 3 came. I sat them down. I'm going to tell you something very important, I said, but you'll be shocked. What is it, Mom? Said my eldest son. You're not actually my biological children. No one made a sound. They were all looking at me. I told them everything. The 1983 mix-up, the switch Susan and I made, our 40-year secret. At first they didn't believe it. Mom, what are you saying? Said my daughter. Aren't you our mother? Yes, I'm your mother, I said. I raised you, I loved you. But genetically, my children's reactions were different. My eldest son. So who is our real mother? My middle daughter, why did you wait 40 years to tell us? My youngest son, does this change anything? My youngest son's reaction comforted me the most. Mom, he said, you raised us. Isn't this more important than blood ties? The hardest part was talking to Susan's family. I met with Susan's daughter, actually my biological daughter. Sarah, I said, I'm going to tell you something very important. I explained the situation. She was also shocked. So you're our real mother? She said. Yes. But your mother Susan raised you. She's your real mother. After this truth came out, the 2 families grew closer. My children learned they were siblings with Susan's children. This is a strange situation. We lived as neighbors for 40 years, but we were actually family. When the grandchildren learned about this situation, they got very excited. So we're a bigger family, they said. The revelation of this truth affected everyone differently. Some of my children started questioning, so who are we now? Some said, it doesn't matter, we're always family. And I was freed from 40 years of guilt. I decided to make this issue public because that hospital is still operating and can make mistakes. They should take responsibility for the mistake they made 40 years ago. I met with a lawyer. It's difficult to file a lawsuit at this age, he said, but informing the public is important. I'm telling this story so other families don't experience the same situation. If your child doesn't look like you, if you have doubts, investigate. DNA testing is very easy now. You shouldn't be late to learn the truth. For 40 years, I blamed myself. Did we do the right thing? Now I understand that we did our best at that time. We thought about the children's well-being, but we should have told them earlier. It would have been better if the children had learned while growing up. This event showed us that family bonds are not just about blood. For 40 years I loved those children, and they loved me. This doesn't change. Being a genetic mother is one thing. Being a mother is another. Susan is no longer with us. I can't share this secret with her. But I know she would think we did the right thing. We made the children happy. I visited her grave. Susan, I said, I revealed our secret. I hope you're not angry. Now the two families have united. We spend holidays together. My children met their biological siblings. The grandchildren learned about their cousins. Susan's children call me aunt, but I'm actually their mother. My children can now say mother to Susan's photo. After this incident, we had that hospital's records examined. Similar mix-ups had happened before in the night. Their systems were very primitive. Baby bracelets were handwritten. Now technology has advanced. Such mistakes are harder to make. We investigated. We talked to families who gave birth at that hospital between night. At least 5 more families had similar suspicions but didn't investigate. Maybe our children were also mixed up, they say. I'm telling this story so society knows. Hospital mistakes can happen. If you have doubts, investigate. DNA testing is now cheap and easy. Family bonds are not just about blood. Truth always comes out eventually. I'm 76 years old. I've come to the end of my life. I didn't want to take this secret to my grave. My children deserved the truth. Maybe I told them 40 years late, but it's better than never telling. My children, I love you very much. Even if we don't have blood ties, you're in my heart. I tried to raise you in the best way for 40 years. I hope I succeeded. Susan's children, you're also my biological children now. We became a big family. This is the happy ending of this story. This story shows that family bonds are not just genetic. Love is stronger than blood ties. Truth should always be told. Mistakes can be corrected. The concept of family is broad. It was 40 years late, but finally I told the truth. My conscience is clear. My children know the truth. Now I can age in peace.